This is JB here. I'm going to try something different. I've been writing quite a bit over the past couple of years for a multitude of reasons, but number one, I like it. Number two, unfortunately for me, and I'm going to be, self-loathing for a second, I've lost a lot of family. And through the loss, writing has allowed me to put on paper or in my laptop memories, feelings, things that, I want to make sure that I remember properly, accurately. And in a weird way, it's really helped me through the situations, the pain, the loss, etc. So anyway, waste of time. I've already lost a lot of you, so I get it. That's what happens. So what I've done is I did start a Substack page under the same name as the pod, and I've been writing different things from just me spewing wannabe poli-sci consultant language to fun pop culture things to topics that really resonate here in our backyard, that being St. Louis. What I would like to do, what I'm going to do here for a while, is read some of the articles, because I know sometimes people just don't like to read. So there's that. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to take these Substacks that I write and I'm going to verbalize them. This one that I'm about to read, I was inspired by a combination of factors that kind of crossed over at the same time. At the time of the writing, here we are in mid-April in St. Louis, and there was an Armageddon storm coming our way, predicted 48 hours, 72 hours earlier, and all the local television weathermen, anchors, etc., were becoming superstars across social media for their prediction of end of worlds coming in just a few days. And lo and behold, a storm comes through, and sure, it was a storm. It was a good spring storm, but it wasn't catastrophic. It didn't end all days. And the local public's enthusiasm for the chaos prior turned into irritation and resentment for us actually not having the storm that was predicted, because everybody had to, oh my God, park your car in a garage, for, a day, whatever. So, but the metaphor that was ringing through my head was kind of this overlap between expectations and, things that are good, bad, awful, great, here within St. Louis more broadly from a civic, business, corporate, community, cultural standpoint. We react like our weather. We do have all four seasons, and sporadically sprayed amongst all four, throughout all four, there are brilliant days, spring days that are 68 blue skies and some of the prettiest clouds you've ever seen, to summertime in which the humidity is in 182. It's normal. You're not melting, and it's just a nice summer day. Fall, when the leaves are really popping. There's few places in the nation that have better rural roads to present that imagery. And then obviously wintertime, we get a good 6, 8, 10-inch snow of some nice clean white powder, and everybody at Art Hill, it becomes a winter wonderland. I mean, we get it all, but then for every great day within those seasons, we have the shit days. And I think St. Louis has the exact same issue when it comes to business growth. We have some wins that are awesome, but we have a lot of losses that, are really embarrassing. We have wins socially in our neighborhoods that represent great events and activations and things that people want to be around and be, and engage more. And then, within 24-hour news cycle, we'll have a tourist who gets hit by a car downtown, and we become, just a leper, so to speak, for people that want to come here. So all these things. So long story short, the article's title is called "The Forecast Nobody's Reading." It's JB from Tell Me You're Joking. Hope you enjoyed. If you do, give it a share. It's free. I'll save a Venmo tip bucket for sometime down the road. Here we go. The forecast nobody's reading. St. Louis has 4 seasons, real ones. Unpredictable by the day, annoyingly early, late, and rarely just right, but reliably present nonetheless. It's not the performative autumn of a city that breaks out one flannel shirt before pivoting back to 70 degrees, and it's definitely not the soul-crushing gray monotony of a Midwest town that forgot spring was an option. 4 distinct, dramatic, infuriating seasons that require you to actually own a wardrobe, read the sky, and make peace with the fact that the weather, like the city itself, will not be performing for your comfort. It's a fitting metaphor for a region with far more contradictions per square mile than most cities manage across their entire footprint. Drive 20 minutes in any direction from downtown, and you'll pass through something genuinely different, not the manufactured character of a master planned development, but actual character accumulated over generations. Historic districts where the brick is present, beautiful, and, quote, as it was, and other equally aged blocks with cost-cutting veneers that imply we quit a long time ago. Block by block, there are battles that pit actual coffee roasters versus national drive-through abominations feeding the kids' TikTok interests. And my kids told me about that, why they were popular, but I digress. Throughout, you can find tract housing that raised electricians and nurses and small business owners who didn't need a TED Talk to understand what community meant. Pockets of generational poverty sitting uncomfortably close to pockets of generational wealth, both of which are in their own way deeply invested in not acknowledging the other. The wealth concentration here is real, and the snobbery that comes with it is equally as real. The old money is quiet and is the kind that doesn't post about itself, but definitely has opinions about which zip code, dare I say high school, you're from. But St. Louis also has a particular strain of blue-collar prosperity that is genuinely rare. First-generation money that hasn't forgotten the neighborhood it came from, that still shows up to the fish fry, still knows what a hard winter costs, and spends its money accordingly in local people, places, parishes, sports clubs, and services that don't make the venture capital newsletters. Both represent opportunity. Both represent a case study for what's possible if you arrive here with your eyes open rather than your expectations preloaded. Which brings us to the critics. There's a certain professional class. I like to call them the, quote, well in my old town chorus. These are people not from here. That has developed a reliable routine around St. Louis. They cite the mobility statistics, shake their heads with practiced concern, and return to their new favorite, comfortable, accessible suburb while claiming the place they left is, quote, way better. They pass judgment from home offices in blue ribbon school districts where private school options bust at the seams. They pursue actual hobbies, entertain their visitors in super cool converted industrial spaces, and eat at restaurants that have received precisely the kind of national press coverage that apparently certifies a city as worth living in. They are not wrong that the numbers are real. They are almost entirely wrong about what the numbers mean. Here's what the metrics don't capture. Washington University and SLU University are generating research, medical breakthroughs, and talent pipelines that most, quote, hot cities would build a brand campaign around. We're not. The medical corridor here is world-class and almost deliberately undersold. And as my friend and co-host over on B-Side, Anthony Bartlett of Acclimate City, points out in his recent article, aging parents are a massive family logistic that is embedded in the new job, house, location conversation. Aging parents are a major personal traffic jam issue, of which the St. Louis region provides a kick-ass off-ramp for. The region sits at the geographic center of the country, a logistics and distribution advantage that corporations in overpriced coastal markets are quietly paying consultants to help them rediscover. The cost of doing business in St. Louis compared to the cities the NBA chorus worships isn't a gap, it's a canyon. And yet somehow the conversation continues as though St. Louis is auditioning. Put otherwise, the messengers seem to be talking about things that miss these realities and bail on the opportunity to solve real pain points while elevating the reality of an accessible, elevated lifestyle. The irony is rich. People in Austin or Nashville are paying a premium to approximate what STL already delivers at a discount. They're buying the idea of the life that St. Louis is actually selling. Boutique restaurants, green space, quality schools, top-notch sports culture, the ability to own something and still have a life outside of work. The grind required to maintain a comparable quality of life in the cities they lionize is not a footnote. It is actually the whole story. The breathing room available here, the actual space to build something, to own something, to raise something, to pivot without catastrophic financial consequence, that doesn't show up in the rankings because no one has figured out how to monetize the absence of suffering yet. You've been describing this city. You just didn't know its name. That's the tagline nobody's running. That's the pitch that doesn't get made to the young couple priced out of Denver, to the mid-sized company hemorrhaging margins in a market that stopped making sense 3 rent cycles ago, to the startup founder who needs a research university partnership and a talent pool that isn't already claimed by 4 larger competitors. They've already articulated exactly what they need. St. Louis has been sitting quietly with the answer, waiting for someone to ask the right question. The old guard doesn't get to take a victory lap either. This is not of their doing. Pointing to the free zoo and the free parks, which are genuinely wonderful and worth defending, as evidence that everything is fine, is its own kind of willful blindness. The diaspora here is small but measurable, and unfortunately, it's accelerating. College graduate retention numbers are simply not good, and affordability, repeated like a mantra, does not automatically become a recruitment strategy. Young people with options are not choosing cities based on what's free on a Sunday afternoon. They are choosing based on a momentum, on whether a place feels like it's moving towards something or merely tending what it was. Nostalgia carries a tax. The old guard has been paying it in installments for decades, and they've been calling it stewardship the whole time. St. Louis doesn't need better statistics. It doesn't need another task force, another rebranding committee, or another panel of outside voices explaining what the data says. It needs people willing to do the unsexy work of building the next chapter and the self-awareness to stop letting the critics and the nostalgists split the room while the opportunity quietly waits. The forecast is readable. We just need to stop talking about the 82 blizzard and the 93 flood. At the time of this writing, it's 72 and sunny. There you go. Feels like old-time radio hour. I appreciate if you made it this far. 15 minutes is about the average commute in this town. Another selling point. And that's that. So I'm going to try this more often. If you like it, feel free to subscribe. I'm over on Substack. And we're going to go from there. So this is JB Anderson. Tell me you're joking. Until next time, see ya.